Ladies and gentlemen, the adventure of Dragon Ball Daima has finally come to an end. And we have a lot to talk about. There's so much to comment on about this whole matter that to also commemorate the end of this project, which we all know in one way or another, is very special. Can you already imagine why we are going to make a final trilogy of videos about Dragon Ball Daima? This is the first of 3 consecutive videos where we will only be discussing and reviewing the final chapter, number 20, and nothing else. Today we'll focus solely on the chapter as it also merits attention. The next video will be about my personal opinion as a fan of the franchise, whether I consider Daima a good product of the brand or not. Also, logically, we will talk about the good and the bad of this series because, without a doubt, we can say that Daima has been a controversial series, from start to finish. And of course, a series with its highlights and its shadows. Finally, we will end with a video where we will talk completely about the canon of Dragon Ball in general, to be able once and for all to get an idea of what is happening with the story in this franchise. Now for sure, after timidly introducing hype through the whole of your asses, it's time to talk about episode number 20 of Dragon Ball Daima, the chapter End. After Goku flexed like a bull without using pills or his transformations, especially his new Phase 4, the plan begins. Goku proceeds to hit Goma from absolutely all sides, and I thought it was forbidden to upload sexual abuses to Crunchyroll. But here, Goku, with Gohan's ruthless gaze when his plans go perfectly, mercilessly pierces Goma, making him vomit all of Dagesu's milk. Everyone watches the fight in amazement, and it is here when a theory that many had is confirmed. At first, apparently, the third eye gave you invulnerability, resistance, and practically infinite regeneration. But it turns out that the eye has an extra physical capacity that turns out to be the most dangerous of all. And it is that in the purest style of Maharaga or the SCP, that of the devil, the third eye makes Goma adapt to his rivals, which is very similar to what happened with Broly. The more you fight with Goma, the more power he gains, with the aim of always surpassing his opponent. Broly against Goma would be some kind of Metapods fight or something like that. We don't know what the limits of this third eye are, but they seem to be quite far. He kept increasing his powers until even Goku in Adult Phase 4 struggled against this steroid-pumped dwarf. Many noticed this in the previous chapter, and I congratulate them. What happens is that as Vegeta was wearing out, Goma was adapting. I didn't manage to notice, let's say, that Goma was getting stronger, and I simply chalked it up to Vegeta running dry and out of energy. Congratulations to those who noticed this, some of whom I saw on Twitter last week. You got it. The fight continued to progress, and just as it happened with Vegeta, Goku begins to tire little by little. So Goku decides to launch a Kamehameha, being one of the most spectacular combos in the entire franchise. Even the Kamehameha had some red flashes, which might be a small reference to the famous Kamehameha 10 of GT's Phase 4 Goku, which was entirely red. Normally, the case could perfectly well occur. After a clash of powers, Goku surpasses Goma's attack, piercing his stomach and causing massive destruction in the demonic worlds. His attack nearly obliterates everything, leaving the beast Goma utterly bewildered with a gaping wound in its stomach. Piccolo then proceeds to the next phase of the plan. He throws himself at Goma's back while he is vulnerable and hits him 3 times in the back of the neck to snatch his third eye. But unfortunately, only 2 of them hit as Goma manages to recover in time and shakes him off, then realizing what the warriors were plotting. Goma then accumulates energy rapidly, healing his wound and enhancing his powers. Apparently, everyone realizes that the situation is getting very complicated and that Goku now needs some help. So everyone starts to go against Goma. But of course, the situation at this point was very ugly. With Goma aware of their plan, removing his third eye would be extremely challenging, and no other feasible method existed to overcome him. With which Arinzu wonders if perhaps in that book there might be something else that can help them in such a case. And well, I don't know if in the book there was or wasn't some extra trick to be able to counter the third eye. But Majin Goat Chat Q certainly knew how to take advantage of it, because using his extremely high IQ, the ultimate form of life. He takes advantage of a lapse in Goma's attention to hit him 3 times in the back of the head with the book, thus finally getting the third eye out of Goma's ass. Thus officially, Majin Ku was the one who defeated the Demon King Goma. The eye falls to the ground and Glorio doesn't waste any time stepping on that damn thing to finally end the fucking shitty eye. Ku receives the usual praises from his companions, including a tsundere compliment from his mom, Arinzu. From the chapter of his appearance, I said that this character was destined for great things, but I definitely didn't even imagine that so much. Although we couldn't see a karaoke session of his, that was the only thing I missed, but I'll survive. They tease Goma and lock him up with his boyfriend from Geisho in a kind of Pokeball, or so I imagine, the inside of a Pokeball, and using a kind of Mafuba, where they will be together in love and company for the next 99 years. After this, it's time to choose a new demon world ruler. Shin suggests to his sister that she consider becoming the queen. After all, it was what she wanted, but she says no because she would probably be overthrown very quickly, although I'm not so sure about this. With the people's favor and Meijin, Ku, and Du as bodyguards, Erinsu likely faced no problems. Anyway, the point is that she declines the offer, just in case. The point is that the true legitimate heir to the throne of the demonic kingdom is not whoever he pleases, but it is always the one who defeats the previous king who has preference in the line of succession, let's say, in this case, oh yes. The one who is up is the good Majin Q, who will never be Meijin Q again, but from today will be King Q for us, his humble plebeians, King Q. Showcasing his exceptional leadership, he appoints ministers with precision, naming Arinsu as his right hand. She accepts and takes Majin Q's hand, who now dons a small king's cape. Thus, Epicarda Q offers the Zeed warriors to also be ministers, but they decline the offer. Truthfully, at the political level, in the demonic world, everything turned out just as I wanted. Majin Ku as king, Arin Suidu as his right hand. All the important characters like Neva or Pansy's father, with a position of importance in the government, and with Goma punished, but not essentially killed. Though he was quite a jerk, I must admit I grew somewhat fond of him. The prison is quite wholesome, offering a garden, board games, video games, and other activities. So they just have to wait for a long season in there, and that's it. So, as I say, in terms of the demon world itself, everything went Milhouse's way. The protagonists prepare to stretch out and say goodbye. That's when we have a very interesting conversation between Goku and Vegeta. Vegeta complains to Goku that he was hiding a new transformation, and that's when Goku officially calls it Super Saiyan. 4. Goku tells him that after finishing off Majin Buu, he was training a lot, and he wasn't sure if it was going to work. In my view, I believe that Goku may have reached Phase 4 at some point during his training, but he was unable to stabilize and maintain it. That would explain why Goku was so sure that there was something beyond Phase 3. And it was thanks to Neva and her magic that Goku was able to reach this form a little ahead of time. Whether it was due to some potential power-up unlock or simply an improvement in the way of managing energy in the transformation. The thing is that Goku already knew about this form. It's just that apparently he didn't master it or was very close to reaching it because he knew of its existence. Ultimately, the final thing Toriyama left us was one last instance of Vegeta humiliating Goku. Simply absolute cinema. The protagonists leave, and there is a post-credits scene. I guess everyone was expecting a memory wipe or something like that, but nothing could be further from the truth. They return to that store where they bought the Metavichos, those bugs, those medicinal ones. And that's when we have one last moment Toriyama before finishing. And it turns out that the demonic third eye had some little brothers. So the protagonist gets scared, and before having any more reaction, the series ends, leaving us in doubt about what the protagonist will decide to do with the other eyes. I say this is very Toriyama because it's absurd humor. We spent the whole series fussing about the little eye, and then it turns out that some crappy old lady had in her store other identical eyes, as if they were some damn pickles in a jar. Simply, I feel it as the last goodbye and the last great troll from Toriyama. Seriously, can't one predict the moment when they are going to leave this world? But wow, as a farewell, everything has turned out so beautifully and so well that it's hard to believe. Definitely, reality surpasses fiction. With this last great troll from Master Akira Toriyama, the series finally and truly ends. This chapter has been very nice in line with the previous one, although it is true that perhaps the previous one was somewhat more spectacular. This one had to be shorter so that the farewells and such could fit in. Very happy with the conclusions, and deep down, I'm glad they didn't erase the memory of the protagonists. At this point, screw up the whole canon. I don't give a damn. The truth is, I can't say much other than that I'm leaving happy. I wanted Majin Ku to chat and Goma to live due to tenderness, which they granted. But did I want my Goku? Phase 4, Adult Essential. Bring me to life, Linkin Park. Did they give it to me? Did I want a last paper from Goku to Vegeta? Did they give it to me? Did I want some absurd Toriyama joke to close the cycle? Did they also give it to me? So, I can't complain. That the fusion bugs were bait in the end? I'm fed up with all the Dragon Ball fusions like Flazamasu, Vegeta Blue, and Gogeta Blue. What's the point? For me, I've had enough of fusions for a while. I'd much rather see more Phase 4 content again than another fucking fusion. Exactly the same as the previous ones, but this time cinnamon flavored. A Gogeta or Vegito Chibis wouldn't have killed me. Honestly, I'm happy with what we've been given. So now let's see how we fit this in when the next arc of the Dragon Ball Super manga is Arinsu, arriving on Earth with Majin Ku and a Zyko mode. Maximum Essence Gut Taster. But hey, we'll get to that when it's time for the video about the Dragon Ball canon. Stay tuned for my upcoming video review on the quality of Dragon Ball Daima and how it fits within the franchise. For now, I'm saying goodbye. Thank you for joining me these months with the weekly review. We made it in the end. 1,000 thanks for being there every day. And we'll see each other in the next few days with the last videos of Dragon Ball Daima. In other words, soon. Don't miss them. And long live King Majin Q, supporting him from day one until the end.
What? Didn't you know there was an airport in the village, Penguin? Come on, don't get worked up over small things like this. Life is beautiful. You have to live it with joy. Ha ha ha.